Welcome to lesson 4, thumb squeeze. So stress can lead you to overthinking, and for me, it turned into major insomnia whenever I'd come home from work. This is a technique that I learned from Oren J. Sofer through a meditation on the 10% Happier app, which I highly recommend and you should check out. So what this did was it forced me to focus on things outside of my head when I first started doing the technique. And I realized that it was a perfect technique for someone like me who's an overthinker who suffers from insomnia to help me sleep. This technique, though, I realized can be used basically at any time, and no one can even tell you're doing it when you do just the thumb squeeze portion. It makes that hamster in your head, for me, the thing that just kind of rolls around and just goes and goes and goes and doesn't seem to be able to stop. It gives it something to be able to continue spinning its wheels, but in a very stress-free way. Okay, so what is the thumb squeeze? It is breathing timed with a fine motor movement. Why does this work? It focuses an overactive mind with the energy that it craves, and it shifts gears from that stress to calm. We're going to do a practice. I mean, come on, who has two thumbs and breathes? And then I'm going to go into how does this work. The only way the magic works is by hard work, but the hard work can be fun. Jim Henson. Jim Henson is the founder of the Muppets and created Kermit the Frog and is kind of a legend in his own right. And he had wonderful quotes like this: many things are hard work, but you can make it fun. Okay, so what is it? It is an attention grabber for your brain. It takes the thoughts in your mind and makes them juggle by adding in more things to focus on. It's perfect for people like me or just high-achieving perfectionist type people who want things to be just perfectly timed and symmetric. And if you have that kind of mind, this is perfect for you. So what this does is it combines multiple different elements of concentration, which is a problem for us who are used to multitasking. And when you're used to multitasking, which actually isn't really a thing, it's actually called task switching. You have so many layers of thought processing happening that you need that extra oomph to bring back that calm. Okay, so what is it? You make a fist with your thumbs inside. So you take your thumb and you wrap it around like that. And what you do is you breathe in and you squeeze. And you can either just squeeze your thumb in like that, because that's not a very huge movement. So you breathe. And then as you do this, you try to make that movement finer and finer. So smaller and smaller and smaller movements. And you want to time it as perfectly as you can so that you're going in. And then the thing is, the rest you have to time with the full contraction of the thumb. And then the full breath out is the full relaxation of the thumb. So this is where it's good to get that perfect timing back and forth. And sometimes if you do this enough, your thumb can get tired, so then you can switch it to a grip with the hand. It doesn't have to be like a grip on the hand. It can be just like a gentle relax, squeeze. And see how when I do this, if my hands are in my lap, you can't even tell. So in this photo, my eyes are closed. You don't have to do it with your eyes closed. You can do it with your eyes open. For me, obviously, I'm doing it when I'm trying to fall asleep, so my eyes are closed. Why does this work? As I mentioned, it combines multiple focuses of attention. It combines in breathing. So you have to time, you have to actually be noticing your breathing. You have to time it with the full breath in, the full breath out, while pairing it with stopping this breathing movement and the fine motor movement. And then with that fine motor movement, you want to actually be very smooth and steady in that contraction. So we're going to do a quick practice here. Let me set up my phone so that we have just 1 minute practice. And breathe normal while you do this. And you can just do this with your hands in your lap. And I like to do 2 of them. So ready? Let's go. So breathe in. Contract those thumbs. Out. And then sitting here, you may notice your body is probably a bit tense. Just focus on the thumbs. That's all you got to do. So as you breathe in, squeeze, relax, out. Remember that full breath in, that full breath out. You're squeezing with the breath. So breathe in, thumb squeezes. When your breath rests, you want your thumbs to also rest, and you hold that contraction. And then when you breathe out, relax entirely. In that space between breathing out and breathing in, your thumb is also fully relaxed. Okay, that was 1 minute. How does this work? There's a couple concepts here. The first one I'll go into is called paired muscle relaxation. In muscle physiology, whenever you activate a muscle and relax it, the previous tension held in that muscle relaxes more than before the contraction. So the more active contraction of the muscle, the more it relaxes when released. When released, there's less tension, so it needs less energy. That means that this muscle uses less oxygen, so the heart and lungs don't need to send as much blood to these areas, and you actually conserve energy, and you're not always in this fight or flight high tension mode. And you can continue this into a progressive muscle relaxation, where you do this with other muscles also, where you can start at your toes and move up all the muscle groups, and you can do this with just gentle, fine motor movements. The idea is that with a relaxed body, you almost send a biofeedback loop to the brain that will trigger that relaxation response. So the brain perceives, oh, the muscles are low tension. We are in parasympathetic calm mode now. And I had trouble believing this until a physical therapist showed it to me. And I was doing this hamstring stretch. And what he did was, as she shows me with where you put your hands behind your leg there, you pull your leg back and just see how flexible you are. And you'll notice at some point it becomes a good hamstring stretch. What you do at that point, and if you can't reach behind there, you can use a belt or a scarf. With a straight leg, you want to push against your hands. So just kind of give that resistance. Just imagine her putting her heel down at the ground, and then relax, and then pull back to see how flexible you are now. And you'll notice a huge difference and a lot more how far you'll be able to get your leg back towards your chest. And there's less. The reason that it's more flexible is that there's less tension in there because you had that contraction of the muscle. Another thing about why this thumb squeeze technique works is that it is a form of focused attention. With focused attention, you're not being asked to stop thinking. You're not being asked to clear your mind. And that is what I hated about the idea of meditation for the longest time, is that I had to just stop thinking and my mind just would not do it. So that felt so liberating when I found this technique. What this technique with focused attention does is that it activates the anterior cingulate cortex part of the brain. This brain is involved in impulse control, decision making, also some empathy and emotional regulation. There was a study done on focused attention that found that the more focused attention practice that you do, you become better with accurate problem solving. Another way that focused attention works is that it almost gives you a tunnel vision on something that you really, really want to focus on, like crosshairs on a target. And in the military, I have heard that some of the best snipers out there, when they are so focused on their target, you can yell in their ear and scream and do all kinds of things, and they won't even notice because they are so focused attention on their job. And it's the same skill that basketball players and football players need to have. For example, when basketball players need to do their free throws, they need to not pay attention to the fans screaming. They don't need to pay attention to the people with the distractors behind the hoop. What they need to focus on is just the ball and the hoop and the muscle and the breathing that goes into that. And this is a known thing, which is why when it comes to football kickers, it's known to ice the kicker to kind of mess with their mind state. When they're about to go kick, when they have that focus, these are the uprights, here's the ball, this is how I step, this is how I kick. They'll call a timeout just because they know that if they can interrupt that focused attention, people will just fall apart and that concentration falls and they won't be able to do their thing because they mess up that anterior cingulate cortex and its ability to problem solve and see things as they are. So the more that you are able to activate that anterior cingulate cortex using this thumb squeeze technique and the focused attention technique, it's theorized that you'll be more likely to have that impulse control, that increased decision making, and becoming a better problem solver. How does this act also is that it increases your body sensory awareness, where you have these proprioceptive neurons all over your body. And these are neurons that at the anatomic level inform the mind where the body is in space. So that's why I can close my eyes and touch my nose and go back and forth. And this technique, though, with the focused attention creates more mindfulness of these tiny, tiny little signals. which is a communication between the mind and the body. And it connects the brain to the sensory experience within, so you can hop into the present moment during any stressful situation and recognize the body within it and the signals from the fine motor to the brain, and focus on those instead of what is just happening in the brain with all of that stress bouncing around in your head. Another thing that I absolutely love is how Hollywood has taken this into the movie Die Hard. In the opening scene, Bruce Willis is sitting on a plane and he seems to be a little stressed out. And his passenger says, well, one thing you can do to make yourself calm is to make fists with your toes to survive airplane travel. Later on in the movie, he does it and he starts laughing because it actually works. So if it's good enough for Bruce Willis in Die Hard, let's try it. So to review what it is, it's a breathing and a breathing technique going in with movement. Why does it work? It speeds up your brain to slow it down. It speeds it up with like, I got to do this and then breathe and then move and then contract and squeeze. And that's how you're able to focus on that instead of what is going on in your head. You can also, again, progress it to other body parts from your toes, and you can progress that up from your toes up to your head and back down as you do this. For you, if you want to do it when you're falling asleep or even in a meeting, you can just do it with your hands. We did a practice session, and then how does this work? Why does this even work? It involves paired muscle relaxation, and then it goes into the focused attention and the body sensory awareness. Another thing that I found as you advance in this and you do it more and more is your brain will start to wander. And what has helped me is what we'll do in the next module, which is here and now, where I will time this as I go in the here and the here, in the now and the now. And I will say that in my head to just add in that extra layer of multitasking or task switching. Happiness bonus for this lesson is to believe that you can achieve. I know it sounds a little bit woo-woo, but there's actually research to show this. So what I want you to do is to think of some upcoming challenge that you have in the near future. And what you're going to do is list out all the reasons of why you will succeed. They are going to be not only because you want it, but what are some concrete examples of like skills that you have to accomplish this goal? What maybe degrees have you had? What have you accomplished in the past that was similar to this? We went into signature strengths in module 1. Go back to those and see what signature strengths will help you in this challenge. Again, what have you learned in the past? And then envision what hardships you may, find along the path. What hurdles will you have to cross? And then also envision what you will do and visualize how you will achieve those and overcome those obstacles. So again, believe you can achieve will bring you lasting happiness and will make you a more productive person. Thanks so much. Download the course materials at stressreleasesurvivalguide.com.